areas of spending would you prioritise, and where do you think this can be made without negatively impacting the community? And we'll go to Andrew.
I think the greatest area that needs support within the council budgets at the moment is possibly the one closest to my own heart, which is education. And there, maybe we'll come on to this later on another question. Education budgets throughout the years have always been the one that officers have wanted to dip into. And with the problems that particularly our rural schools and Lochaber High School as well face, I would like to see support within the budget setting process for our schools. And I actually think the council needs to take a long, hard look at its own structure again, because we were told in recent years that a reorganisation at senior level would provide enormous savings. And instead, we've seen a creation of more senior officers on higher salaries that are remote from our local areas. And we've actually seen the staff payroll within Highland Council increase substantially in recent years when they say that we need to make savings in this service area or that service area. Now, I've been away from the council for 2.5 years. It's very difficult not being a councillor to actually get a handle on where the council finances are at the moment without a line-by-line look, which we as normal residents don't have that opportunity and access to either council officers or council papers. So we're reliant on the big budget headlines that appear in council reports. So one of my priorities, if elected, would be to actually sit down with the finance team in Glen Urquhart Road and have a discussion about exactly where the council finances are at the moment before I make a judgment on the wider question that you've asked, Marie.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. We'll go to Susan.
I would, I don't think there is a right answer to this question. And I think that the only answer is to go back to the local authorities nationally and try to have a discussion about increased allocation of funds. I mean, I agree with Andrew that education is possibly the most important area, but I've watched the councillors going through kind of torture, really, of being brought together to review the cuts that they're going to make this year, when they know perfectly well that there are things that they're all going to impact poorly on people's standard of living. I mean, just one example was just before COVID, there was a decision to draw back from funding public toilets. And, you know, and then we had COVID, and then we had this huge influx of people longing for a little bit of space and freedom and holidays. And we didn't have enough toilets for them. And we've ended up in Mali. There's a little group that's set up which had to bid for money that was competitively offered, so that 2 or 3 people got to build toilets around Highlands and others didn't. I mean, that is a crazy way to build infrastructure in this country. It's completely bonkers. And you take it away from the council, who actually have professionals who know about sanitation, and give it to, I mean, there was a wonderful group in Mali. They're still going, but some poor fella had a full-time job and he was up all night trying to work out sewage regulations. It is a ridiculous way to provide public services in this country, and I think we just need to redo it. So that's my answer.
Thanks, Susan. We'll go to Nathan.
Yeah, so I think obviously, as Andrew did say, it's kind of hard to know exactly where things would need to be allocated and what needs to be cut without actually being able to sit down with the figures in front of you, which, as Andrew said, is a very difficult thing to do unless you are actually a member of the council. So I think that's sort of it's a difficult question to answer, I think, because of that. I mean, obviously there's the more abstract concepts of things that we, you feel should be allocated and shouldn't be, I guess. But, obviously those things can change when you're actually presented with cold hard facts in front of you, of actual paperwork and actual accounts and where things are being spent, I think in reality, I think what we, and obviously, it's a thing that's been a very common theme in this is the fact that people keep saying there's not enough money to do everything that we are trying to do, and really there's only two options I think with that, and it's either we take even more from people which are struggling already, or we start to reduce the scope of what a council's trying to achieve and allow the people themselves to to look out, to sort of take on to themselves some more of the responsibility. A libertarian ideal is very much that of, less government and less council, and encouraging people to be a community together and to solve these problems. So I think, in the sense of what I would spend in, I would prioritize, it would be the basics. I would try, education. Yes, there is an important thing there. And I think that giving more power to schools, allowing them to, to make their own decisions is something that can help there. But I think in reality, without actually seeing proper facts and figures, it's a very difficult one to know exactly what you would cut and what you would allocate to. So it's a little bit of a difficult question to answer without any real knowledge or information to actually go off, genuine proper facts and figures, I think.
Rebecca.
The £2 billion infrastructure investment is actually earmarked for schools and roads and to create community points of delivery. So there is already a priority set with that money. Going back to Andrew's point about education, that's obviously very passionate and close to my heart. And I'm very conscious and aware of the issues that can be felt when you're in a small rural school. It sometimes has a magnifier effect. So one of the things that Highland Council has done is to have part-time temporary contracts and rolling contracts, and where you can distribute the effect of that in a bigger school, in a small rural school, in a small primary school, say that's got a composite class of 3 years within it. If you have got 3 part-time teachers teaching every week, and then you change that the next staffing the next year and you do exactly the same, you have 3 new teachers, it can have quite a dramatic effect. I don't think that it's officers necessarily seeing the impact of that in the classroom. I think it's easier for us to see that because we're at the, with the seeing the children affected directly. And I think officers are looking at algorithms and spreadsheets and numbers and sitting in an office. And I think the role of a counsellor can be to advocate for those communities and to come up with innovative solutions. One of the reasons why I have decided to stand for council was that I feel that my background in education gives me the ideal opportunity to be that interface and to be able to show how I think we could still manage within the budget, but distribute the benefits more fairly and equitably. And I think we could then look at PSAs and the support that our young people should be getting in schools. There have been drastic cuts to save money to that. And I think we can find ways of making it a fairer and better solution for our young folk. I totally agree that it isn't for me to be dogmatic in my approach to any other spending, because I think we are representatives of our electorate, and so it's very, very important to listen to what the voters are saying are their priorities. It's not about me, it's about you. So yeah, I think I've probably covered as much as I can in the time.